Hey everyone, Bo Watson here with School of Lifetime Low Rounds, and I got to ask you, have you ever had this shot right beside the green where you're in thick rough and you only have so much between you and the hole? Well, if you don't know how to hit this shot, you want to definitely stay tuned. I'm going to show you exactly how to hit this shot and get it close. Okay, the dreaded thick rough shot right beside the green, and we're going to definitely cover this in detail. And I just want to say thank you so much, RYP Graham, for submitting the question. And those of you that would like to see a video made on a particular question, feel free to add a comment to the video. And also, if you have not yet already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below and hit that bell button if you like this video. That'll keep you up to date on all the newest videos that we're going to be posting to the channel over the next few weeks. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump right in. So how do we hit a thick rough shot? Well, the first thing that you always need to identify is first understand what type of grass are you playing in. And the reason why we want to ask that is because if you're playing in fescue, like say some of the rough that you see over in Europe, and you see it on the British Open, right? And those are going to be a little bit different than what you're going to try to hit when you go to a Bermuda rough. Okay, two totally differences. As a matter of fact, I remember the story one time. David Orr, my mentor, told me once, and he was walking with Justin Rose over in Europe, and it was right before the Open Championship, and Rose had missed a second shot, and it was pretty funny because he had missed in the thick stuff, and I think David made a comment like, "Oh man, how are you going to do that?" And he was like, "I'm just going to whisk it out." And David looks at him twice and said, "What do you mean I'm going to whisk it out?" And he was like, "I'm just going to whisk it out." And so what he meant is when you understand the proper technique in hitting out of fescue, it's more like pretending it's like a bunker shot. It's a lot easier to play that shot versus if you're hitting a shot out of thick Bermuda rough. Okay, and the reason why they're different is because you got to understand the root structure. So fescue is more like straight down versus Bermuda rough. You got what we call the stolon, and it kind of spreads across the ground. Okay, that's why whenever you see like shots on a range, if they have Bermuda grass for a range, you just fill in with sand and it's really quick. It just spreads right over it, and that's why it's so important to fill your divots with sand, because then it just lays right across it. Now, when you understand the type of lie that you have, then you go and prepare accordingly. So again, fescue, you're trying to just open the face, and you're just pretending it's like a bunker shot. So pretty much treat it just like if you were hitting a bunker shot. But now when we're playing thick rough like this, where the ball's deep down in the Bermuda, now we got to change our technique a little bit. So the number one thing that you absolutely must have for this type of shot is a lot of bounce. Okay, so those of you that aren't familiar with bounce, this is where you want your leading edge. So the bounce angle is where the leading edge and the bottom part of your flange, that angle is what creates your bounce. Okay, the more bounce you have, the better it is in this particular instance, because we want that wedge to get down in the ground, make contact with the ground, use the bounce so it keeps it consistent through the grass. Okay, very, very important. So in this scenario, we would want to use like a 52 degree, 56 degree. Those are going to traditionally have a little bit more bounce. And there are some lob wedges out there that have a lot more bounce, like the Adele wedges. I actually have one in my bag, and it's a 60 degree, and it has a very high bounce on it. And I just love using that from time to time. But golden rule number one is use a lot of bounce for this scenario. Okay, now that you have the proper club choice, how do we go about actually hitting the shot? And that's what I'm going to show you right now with a few tour players, so you can see how they're doing it, and then we're going to come right back and show you how to hit the shot.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at two different examples here of Tiger and Rory McIlroy hitting out of thick rough. And one of the first things I want you to take note of as we watch this the first time is notice the length of his backswing and his follow-through. It's going to be very important to take note of this. So as he comes back, he's going a little bit past halfway, but notice where he follows through. 2, and it's almost like it's a quarter of the way through follow through. All right, very, very important to understand what he's doing here. The first thing that I want you to look at is notice as he comes back, he's setting his right wrist angle sooner. So he's hinging his wrist sooner so he can come in at a little bit of a steeper angle. One of the dangers of hitting out of thick rough is when you release this club too early, and let's say the ball is right in here, And when you release this club too early, too soon, it bottoms out, but way behind the ball, and then it gets caught in the grass and it doesn't go anywhere. So what he's doing is setting his angles sooner so he can come in. Think of it like an airplane. You're coming in at a steeper angle versus coming in at a shallower angle. Okay. So let's watch this one more time. Setting his wrist sooner, coming down. But the key that I want you to take note of, yes, he's setting his wrist sooner, but he's also at the last split second allowing this club to get in line with his left forearm so he can use the bottom part of this wedge, the bounce, to let it glide right through the grass. This is what creates the pop-up out of the thick rough. And then as you can see here, the club has already passed his left forearm. So if we were to draw a line down his left arm, it would be coming this way. So what he's basically doing is almost like he's flipping through the impact zone, but he's also keeping this face open. He's not letting this turn or rotate. Very, very important. The other big thing I want you to pay attention to is weight is pretty much all on the left side. His centers of gravity are also stacked on this left side. So one of the dangers that I see with a lot of amateurs is that they'll lean or have too much shoulder tilt. So where their upper center of gravity where the shirt button is, lower center of gravity where the belt buckle. If this is leaning too much over here, what's going to happen is that airplane wedge, right, is going to be coming in way behind the ball. Okay, so that's Tiger's example right there. Now let's look at Rory McIlroy. So here we have Rory. Let's X out of that. And notice from right here, he is starting from a very steep wrist hinge. So you can literally see the butt end of the club's pointing straight down in the ground at a very steep angle. So we know he's got a lot of wrist hinge in this particular shot. And as you can tell, he can't even see the ball. Okay, so watch as he goes through this swing, almost like a 3/4. Releases the angles. Notice how short his follow through is. Okay, so that was very, very important to look and understand. One of the big things that you have to understand with this part of it is that you've got to use the bounce of the wedge to your advantage. And the other big thing is making sure that you're coming in at a steep angle, and then at the last split second, you release those angles. This is almost like the left arm and club are getting more in line at the point of contact. So that means the bounce is now doing its job. And then the follow through is very short, twisting, opening the face. That's very, very important. So that way you are not turning the club face through the impact zone and then hitting a shot that goes really low and out to the left. So those are two examples. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now let's move over and show you how to hit this shot.
Okay, so now that you saw those guys demonstrating how to hit this shot out of thick, heavy rough, the way that you do that is you've got to make sure you're having speed, but then it's almost like a chopping motion as you go through the grass, okay? And it's almost like you're just stopping. And when you use the bounce correctly on a wedge and you just kind of stop, what it does, it pops the ball up as you saw in those two videos. So one thing that we want to do whenever we're doing the shot is, number one, we need a little bit of speed. Two, we also need to make sure that we're almost going a little bit steeper, and the way you do that is you're setting your wrist a little bit sooner, and then you're almost like you're taking your wrist and you're lengthening this out straight as you possibly can at the moment of impact, and you're wanting that wedge to just drop underneath and then just kind of stop. Okay, that's what's going to allow that ball to just pop straight up out of that thick, heavy rough. So here's what it looks like. So I'm going to go to this pin right here. I chose a difficult one because I know this is something that a lot of you guys would like to know how to hit. So this is how you do it. You're going to take about a medium, it's almost a 3/4 type swing here, steep, and then it's just like a drop right here at the bottom. And so that angle of attack and then just kind of stopping really quick is what creates that type of shot. So again, in this one, I got a lot of grass on the backside of the ball, so I'm going to need just a little bit more speed. And again, this is why it's important to identify what type of lie. What do you have between the face and the ball? And here, I'm going to have a lot of grass, so I got to get a little bit more speed than I used on that particular shot. So same scenario, we're taking just a little bit more hinge, going back, going through, and just stopping here. But I'm getting just a tad bit more speed on this one. And that's how you would hit a thick, or how you hit a shot out of a thick rough, guys. So thanks so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this content that we put out today. And if you have any other questions or any issues that you guys are facing, feel free to comment below the video. We'd love to hear feedback from you guys, and also if you have any suggestions on anything that you're struggling with, so we can do more videos like this. And more importantly, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell button. That'll keep you up to date on all the new videos that we're posting over the next few weeks. And with that said, guys, thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.